Welcome to the Limitless Leaders Podcast. This is a show where my guests and I explore and expand on all things mindset, leadership, and communication. On the show, I interview inspiring leaders, business owners, and entrepreneurs from all walks of life, where they share their stories, experiences, and lessons. This is a podcast for you if you're looking to learn, grow, and accelerate your life, career, and who you are. Hey out there, welcome to the Limitless Leaders Podcast. Thanks for tuning in or watching. And today I'm super excited for our guest. And before I introduce our guest, I just want to say Happy New Year to all, if any of you I haven't seen, which is many of you. And I hope your year's kicking off well. As many of you know, in March 2024, I was diagnosed with triple positive I can't even remember what it's called, but breast cancer. And I've had quite a tumultuous 14 months of treatment, but my awareness has raised so many questions and has really heightened in the area of breast cancer. And all over the world and in Australia, we really need to be knowing the signs. And I thought there was nothing better than interviewing the amazing Associate Professor Wendy Ingman. She's a leading breast health researcher working at the University of Adelaide, and her laboratory is based at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. She's driven by a passion for translating science into impact, which is amazing, and educates and advocates for community education and empowering women to take charge of their breast health. She collaborates with government agencies, healthcare professionals, and grassroots organisations to bridge the gap between research and real-world outcomes. Wendy's also the founder, been very busy, Wendy, and director of Infor-MD, a not-for-profit organisation dedicated to raising a public awareness and education about breast density and breast cancer screening. Through this initiative, which is just amazing, and we will be talking about that, she champions informed decision-making and works to ensure that the latest scientific knowledge reaches the communities who need it most. Welcome, Wendy. How are you?
Thanks, Renee. Yeah, I'm great. Thank you.
Yes. And
thanks for the invitation.
Oh, pleasure. And, you know, we've met and had a chat before, and obviously your life's work is about something that has always been close to my heart, but even more so now. And it's just amazing, important work that you're doing. So well done.
Thank you.
With our guests, I always love to just get some context of a bit of your backstory, how you've got to where you are today, to be doing what you're doing.
A very long backstory. But, you know, it's something that I have always been fascinated by, the human body. Right back from high school, learning about how the body works in biology classes. I was thinking about being a doctor when I was at high school because that just appealed to me. I wanted to be someone that helped others.
Yeah.
But I just loved science so much. I ended up deciding that I would do a Bachelor of Science degree at University of Adelaide, and that just kept growing my interest in how the body works. The more you know about the body, the more amazing it is.
And the more you want to know.
Yeah, and more you appreciate just how our bodies work and what a gift that is.
Yeah.
So I just kept going, you know, so I finished my undergraduate and I started doing a postgraduate. So I did a PhD in medicine.
Amazing.
I guess kind of ended up combining my interests. So, you know, that interest in being a doctor, but then the science.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and yeah, so then after I finished my PhD, I went to the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York to do extra training. And that's where I really learnt the foundation skills that I'm now applying in my job is about breast biology and how the breasts work. And coming back to Adelaide and setting up my own lab and getting into my own research directions. And along the way, um, I really became very inspired by the women that I met who had had a breast cancer diagnosis. Um, it's science doesn't happen in a bubble.
no,
We do, the purpose of science is to serve a community, to do the research to make things better for people. And connecting with the people who I was working at helping actually
mm,
has helped shape my work a lot.
yeah,
So, about 10 years ago, I became really inspired to get into breast density more from the public health policy perspective
yeah,
rather than the laboratory perspective, which is where I started, just because of what I was hearing from women who
mm,
had had breast cancers missed because of their breast density. So that kind of then took me on a whole new journey,
yeah, good,
working with a huge range of collaborators, both in the research space, but also in the advocacy and patient perspective space, and that's where
yeah,
I am now. Yeah.
amazing. I love that, and I think being in the coal face and speaking to people with breast cancer and survivors of breast cancer, you see how amplified the challenges are.
Mm.
And like, I love that you've gone back to the root. Like, how does the breast work? Do you want to run us through a little bit about that? And I guess for those listening, what breast density is, because I have it. And as you know, I had a mammogram that was clear, and 3 months later, a biopsy that was stage three. And I thought it had been missed, but it probably may not have been there. But the fact that I didn't really understand what density was, I just thought I had firm breasts, which was I thought was a good thing. What is it, and how do you know if you've got breast density?
Yeah, so breast density is really about how the breasts look on an X-ray mammogram.
Yeah,
So if we go back to the biology just to start off with, so breasts are made up of different types of tissue, different types of cells. And the purpose of the breasts is to develop during pregnancy to become able to make milk to
yeah,
feed a baby. And the composition of the breast is for that purpose. So there are different types of cells in the breast. Some of them are called fibroglandular tissue. So this is the cells that are around the ducts, which would make milk when a woman is breastfeeding. And then there is the supportive structures around those cells called that is fibrous tissue. And so together we call that fibroglandular tissue.
yeah,
And then the other type of cell, which is in the breast, is fatty tissue, so adipose tissue
yeah, yeah,
or adipose cells. And they have different, they appear differently on a mammogram. So when you think of a mammogram, what it looks like with an X-ray, you have white and dark,
mm,
and the white areas are more of the fibroglandular tissue, and the dark areas are more of the adipose or the fatty tissue.
yeah,
So when you look at breast density, that's really what you're looking at, with more and more white coming up on that mammogram. That's more fibroglandular tissue, which comes up, and that's what we call density.
yeah. That's so good to understand. So people with larger breasts versus, an athlete that may be, you know, quite flat, can anyone have breast density?
Yes, yes, they
Yeah.
can. So it's not about how breasts look.
Yeah.
So large, small, that's not that's not a factor. And sometimes breasts can feel quite firm, but not actually be dense.
Oh, wow.
Um, Yeah, there is sometimes a relationship, but it's not something that you can necessarily predict. Sometimes breasts can feel very soft, but they
Mm.
are actually have a lot of that fibrous tissue in there, so that they are coming up as dense on the mammogram.
Yeah, wow. So what's the best way to find out if you do have breast density and therefore need other sort of tests,
Mm.
maybe as well as the mammogram?
So you need to have a mammogram
Yeah,
to find out your breast density,
yeah,
and the radiologist will look at it, and they can determine whether it's dense
yeah,
just by looking at it.
yeah.
But also, we now have
Mm,
uh, quantitative measures. So there are software programs that can be put embedded into the mammogram machine so that it can measure your density in a very accurate, very specific way.
amazing. So if anyone out there is going for a mammogram, do you need to say, do I have breast density, or do they actually tell you?
So most places these days, if you go to see a private radiology clinic, that information is most likely going to be in the report already.
Yeah,
But you can ask,
yeah,
um, at the time. If you go to public health screening, so if you go to breast screen,
brain.
a lot of states are now reporting breast density, and that information will be provided to you when you get your letter
Yeah,
telling you about your result. Not all states have implemented that yet.
no.
So you need to check with your state program, and you can ask at the time that you have your
Just
mammogram.
Just ask.
Mm.
I think just ask, and even if they say you don't, even in your next mammogram, ask because your breasts change. And I know BCNA and a lot of foundations and not-for-profits are doing work around, recognizing breast density as part of the mammogram, which is so important. So I love hearing that.
Yes.
Um, and I will share this. You had a great campaign where I loved it. The bear in a snowstorm. You don't see a bear in a snowstorm, and that's a really good metaphor around, I guess, the complexity of finding out if you do have breast density.
Yeah. We organised that. That was actually a project that we did during COVID.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
2020, we had a collaboration with some Bachelor of Design students from Uni SA
yeah,
who were given a brief to develop an animation for us, which explained about breast density. And they came up with this beautiful animation. It's just over 2 minutes long.
it's beautiful. I saw it. Yeah,
Thank you. Yes, we had a voiceover from an ambassador for the Hospital Research Foundation here in SA, Hayley Pearson, who is one half of Adelaide, who have a radio show, and she put
ah,
her voice to it.
yeah,
So it's a very professional
it is.
animation, and we wanted it to have the right tone as being really friendly information. We don't want to scare people. Breast density has been around for a
No.
long time, but a lot of people will be learning about it for the first time now.
Oh,
And
definitely.
so, yeah, and it's, it is a risk factor for breast cancer.
Yeah,
And it can also reduce the sensitivity of the mammogram to detect cancer, as you found out, Renee,
yeah,
the
yeah,
hard way.
yeah,
So we want to tell people that information, but we also didn't want to have it as alarming. So we
yeah,
thought that having a polar bear in a snowstorm and explaining it in that way, and really encouraging women to continue to have mammograms, continue to have those breast cancer screens,
yeah.
think about their breast cancer risk as well.
Mm,
And I always promote breast awareness as well. I think breast awareness is really important. That's getting to know the look and feel of your breasts. Everyone's breasts are different. Some
yeah,
breasts are lumpy, but knowing what's normal for you, and having sort of regular checks of just touching yourself and looking in the
yeah.
mirror. And if you do find something that you're a bit concerned about, going to see your GP.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And I know at the moment there's a campaign with BCNA, know your breasts, feel your breasts, as well as you know your face.
Mm,
Because they say people,
yeah.
if you say, know every bit of their face, especially, a lot, not everybody, but a lot of women, but then don't know their breasts. And,
Mm,
I'm very, very open about the fact that I knew I had firm breasts. I didn't know it was called breast density. Therefore, it was hard to feel,
mm,
anything, if that makes
mhm.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And the lumps that were found were sort of in under that fibrous tissue.
Mm,
So know you're normal. Yeah.
yeah,
Only you
that's
know
right.
you're normal. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we're all different, and it is
Oh,
harder for some than others.
yeah.
So there are
Yeah.
some women who have very lumpy breasts,
Yeah.
and that is normal for them, but it does make it harder
Harder.
then to check yourself,
Yeah.
but not impossible. And always can go and see your GP and get something
Yeah.
checked out if you have any concerns.
Yeah. And I'm sure too the GPs will be more educated on breast density too to be able to say make sure you check for that. which
Mm.
which is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And the inroads and it's, all the work people like yourself have done, lifelong work to get this to be front of or be top of mind. So yeah, appreciate you and what you're doing. I wanted to ask you, how can, we do a lot of work in the corporate world and we've got lots of leaders and business owners that listen to this show. How can leaders be supporting women in the workplace in being proactive about breast health? Because I know a lot of companies, and one I was in, 20 years ago, the nurse would come and we get flu injections. I
Yep.
think I only got one. But
Yep.
how can leaders really assist with this?
Yeah, look, that's a good question. And I think it's really pertinent right now because we have so many women in the workforce and healthy aging is so important,
Yeah,
and so women's health issues as we age are really important in the workplace, you know.
yeah.
Um,
They're
and so,
almost the advocates, can be the advocates. Yeah,
yeah, and we're also in that backdrop of 1 in 7 women in Australia will get breast cancer.
yeah.
That's the number that we're working at. So in a workplace, if
Mm,
if you've got a significant number of women in your workforce, there will be women with breast cancer. Um,
yeah,
so that's a good question. And look, we have started a not-for-profit organisation that's Informed or Information Forum on Mammographic Density. This was work that we started actually in 2016 as a
wow.
collaboration,
Yeah.
but we've just now registered it as a public
Oh,
company.
congratulations. Yeah.
So this is a new chapter for me, a bit of a different adventure. But what we will be looking at doing is partnering with organisations so that we can help to bring the information to the people who need it. And so, if there are businesses that are interested in partnering with us, we can explore that.
Amazing. And what does it, and I know it's been a lot of time in the making, it's not an overnight, resource. What does it sort of entail? So is it providing tools to the organization or mentoring to the leaders? What does it entail?
Yeah, look, this is something that can develop, and there are a lot of opportunities, and we're going to be looking at exploring those. The backbone of what we do at Informed is we provide the information on our website.
Yep.
So this is a www.informed without the E,
Yep.
.org.au. And this is a resource with all of the information about breast density, but conscious that this is a field which is still emerging.
Yeah.
So there is information that people need to know now, but there are changes occurring,
Oh,
um,
it's like,
as we speak. So things like just this year in May, Breast Screen Australia released a new position that they would mandate reporting breast density. So this is now changing across different state programs. And just last month, the Commonwealth Department of Health, Disability and Ageing has released a guide for general practitioners in
Oh, fantastic.
how
Yeah.
to direct
Yeah.
supplementary screening, so different types of imaging tests, to those women who are told that they have dense breasts.
Yeah.
So it's a space which is changing quite rapidly. And so our organisation is really about making sure that the information stays up to date. So it's a resource you can go to and you can get the latest information and make sure that you've got, best equipped to understand what breast density is and make the best choices for your own health and your own situation, because everyone's situation is different.
That's
This is
right.
not a one size fits all. This is not a you have dense breasts, do this.
Yeah.
It's much more nuanced than that. And so this is what we are providing, is this website as the starting point for our organisation, and then going into partnerships with companies that share our values of healthy ageing and women's health.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And if you're listening to this, jump on the website. We'll have that in the show notes as well. But I think, I don't know if it's because I've had cancer, I notice it more, but so many companies are raising money for breast cancer awareness, which is great. Don't not do that. But this is actually really investing in the time to have a proactive approach to the women in your organization. And, breast density, what's the percentage in Australia at the moment of women that have breast density?
So about 40% of women who will be going to have breast cancer screening have dense breasts. It's 4 different categories of breast density, A, B, C, D. C and D are considered dense breasts. That's about 40%. It's the 8% of women with extremely dense breasts, which is the category D.
Yeah.
They're the ones with the highest risk of breast cancer and the biggest chance of having their breast cancer missed.
Wow.
So it is a common common in our population.
So four in 10 have breast density and 1 in 7 will get breast cancer. And I mean, my sister's still on treatment 6 years later. I'm clear, I finished treatment, but we had the opposite cancer and it's not genetic in our family. So it just shows, I always feel sorry for my poor mum, like both daughters, within 5 years of each other. So the statistics are real, the facts are real, but more than that, know, feel your breasts, make sure you're getting, what density you might have in your mammograms, and share this message and share this podcast, that if we can cast a web, the more people that know, the more people that will know. It's a domino effect. Yeah.
And Renee, you've just touched on one of the some myths around breast
I was going to
cancer
ask you about that.
risk, because you said you don't have that family history, and actually, we often think, oh well, no, I don't have a family history, I don't need to worry, but
You might.
most women who have breast cancer don't have a family history.
Yeah.
So it is a risk factor for breast cancer, but it is not. There's 8 out of 9 women who are diagnosed with breast cancer don't have that family history. And another thing that we often think about is, breast cancer is really about older women. You sort of imagine it's someone's grandma, but actually breast cancer can affect younger women as well. And 1 in 4 women with breast cancer are actually diagnosed under the age of 50.
Wow.
And
Well, my sister was. Yeah.
and so it is much more common than people realise. And sometimes there is this sort of belief, when women they're younger and they go to their doctor and say, look, I'm a bit concerned about something, in my breasts, and they can sometimes be dismissed. because they're, oh, you're too young to get breast cancer. And I just would encourage anyone who is, in that younger age group
Yeah.
to not let that sway them, and go and get another. You can always get another opinion,
Yeah.
and put your mind at ease with getting some, pursuing your concerns, and yeah, I don't want to alarm anyone, because often it's not breast cancer.
That's right. But
If you've got a concern, it's quite possibly not breast cancer, but advocating for yourself
yeah,
and making sure that you are satisfied with the answers that you're getting.
yeah, definitely. And I just think, people get their hair done, they go to the dentist, do God knows what else, and forget the most important thing a
Mm,
lot of the time. I was surprised how many younger girls were in having chemo when I was with breast cancer.
mm.
Like I'm
Yeah.
talking in their 20s and 30s. Um, so I think, yeah, make sure you're making the time to have these tests. I I was going to also mention just something that did come up. So you may not have a family history, and as you mentioned, you don't have to have a family history, but also keep in mind those of you that I know that have gone back and look at death certificates of great great grandparents. When they put down the reason of death, it's not detailed. So I've
Mm.
had friends say, "Oh, my great great grandmother died of chest complications." Is that breast cancer? Is that pneumonia? You don't know. So I think just taking the stance of you don't know, and even if there's no history, look after you, what's the age now in Australia for mammograms that they suggest you start having them? Is it 40 or 45?
So it is 50 when you get invited
Yeah, yeah,
to attend breast screen. But you can go from the age of 40 onwards. You
yeah.
can book an appointment. You can go online, just find a time that suits you, book in the appointment. You don't need a doctor's referral. You can just show up and have your mammogram if you want.
Yeah, yeah, important. Get it in the diary, make sure you're having that. There's a lot of, new technology and research emerging. What excites you the most at the moment? I know it's
Look,
a bit.
yeah. Look, I think where I'm getting most excited, and there's actually a list, but you've asked me to
I
just say
thought there
one,
would be. Yeah.
is how we can be using artificial intelligence to
Oh,
go more deeply into a mammogram.
yeah.
So there's now a lot of research that's just starting to come up, and all across the world, there's new research showing that artificial intelligence can detect changes in the mammogram before there's cancer.
Wow.
So
So chemical changes or cellular?
cellular
Yeah,
changes.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
and we're still at the very beginning of
Yeah.
understanding this, but there is the possibility that one day we'll be able to have a mammogram and determine who's going to get cancer in the future. So, so 5 years' time, you're at risk that you could have, you might have a 10% chance that this is going to turn into cancer.
Yeah.
And you start really being proactive about preventing that.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. And AI is moving so fast that I
Mm.
think if we spoke this time next year, there'll be a whole plethora of new tools, and how amazing is that?
Yeah, I know. I mean, we're right at the beginning and there's so many questions that still need
Oh,
to be answered, but it just looks, it's really exciting.
yeah, absolutely love that. I was just going to ask you with like you when you go to book if you're under 50, is it breast screen? Is that the
Mhm.
site you go to?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So every state and territory has its own breast screen program.
Yep.
You can go onto their website and yeah, you book it in for yourself.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I don't think we need more of a why to do this. And, it is obviously very close to my heart. Um, I think now, even with what you're saying, if that AI had been out, it may have detected. So all you've got to do is show up. The
Mm.
rest is being done by people like yourself making all these inroads. I wanted to ask you, Wendy, if you were to give a simple, very simple way to check breasts, and I know there's videos out there, is it once a month? Is it a certain time of the month? Any tips there?
Well, I don't recommend any particular way of doing it because
Yeah,
I think it's about working out what works for you.
yeah.
There was actually some really interesting research a while ago that investigated whether a really regimented way of checking your breasts worked in terms of
Ah,
um, early detection of breast
yeah.
cancer. And they didn't find an increase in breast cancer detection with that study.
Okay.
What they actually found was that a regimented um, approach was increasing false positives.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a tricky space
It
because,
is,
on
yeah.
one hand, a lot of breast cancers are self detected.
Yeah,
So you notice a lump and you go to see your doctor. But if you have a really regimented, this is how you do it, you can actually end up,
missing.
really not doing what not having the benefit.
Yeah.
So that's why they really sort of talk about breast awareness rather than breast checks,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
with it being more about knowing how you are and checking yourself and being familiar with yourself
Yeah.
rather than this is how you do it.
Do it. Yeah. Yeah.
And some women, in the shower, um,
Yeah.
after they've had a shower, looking at themselves in the mirror, or however, and some women have creams that they like to use.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Everyone's different,
personal
hey?
thing.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's really more about encouraging you to be feeling yourself,
Yeah.
really, and looking
Yeah.
at yourself,
Yeah.
um, and uh, and not necessarily being, oh, I've got to do it this way.
Yeah. And I love that. And do it your way. But I guess the key message is know your normal. Would
Mm.
you suggest to, like, as in my case, under the armpits, checking there as well? Because that's where I noticed some swelling. It didn't feel right.
Yeah,
So check under your armpits as
yeah.
well because
So
your lymphatic
breast tissue
system.
extends down, sort of under your armpits,
Okay. Many people may not know that.
and
So
there are
it
lymph
goes
nodes there as
around.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. I wanted to ask you, are there, and this is a big question, but are there any sort of lifestyle traits that can increase your risk of breast cancer? It's a question
Mm.
I get asked a lot because I've always had a very healthy lifestyle, and it's
Hmm.
very cliche, but people go, "You shouldn't have got it. You're so healthy." Like,
Yeah, yeah. So, look, I think probably where we start with this is just keeping in mind
yeah,
that breast cancer risk factors are risk factors.
yeah,
They don't cause breast cancer. So, you can be doing everything right and
yeah,
you could still end up getting breast cancer, or you could do everything wrong
and not
and
get it.
never have
Yeah,
a problem. But yeah, healthy lifestyles do help to
yeah,
prevent breast cancer. So, avoiding alcohol,
yeah,
avoiding smoking,
yeah.
exercise,
Not
maintaining,
avoiding exercise.
not even, no, just being active,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and um, and maintaining a healthy body weight.
Yeah, that's a big one too. And the exercise, we talk about being a limitless leader. We're all leaders of self and others, but unlearning, relearning and continually evolving with high energy. And I'm a big believer one of the contributing factors to that is exercise and motion is lotion as they say and even on my sickest days I just do a 10-minute walk. It's better than nothing.
Mm.
So bringing that in, and it also, we've got this mental health epidemic, as we know in Australia. It's huge. It's about this approximately at the moment. Economic Health Forum have reported, I think it's 1 billion people globally have a diagnosed mental health issue. It's staggering. So exercise, is the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. Bring that all in together. Um, Wendy, I wanted just to ask you. What if you had to give just 3 key takeaways or tips to everyone listening or watching out there? What would they be?
So the takeaways is I always start with breast awareness, and we have covered that. I would recommend you know your breast density and be familiar with what that means, and think about how that might affect your breast cancer risk and your screening options.
Yep.
And also, screening, breast cancer screening is really important. And we have a great program here. We have 2 yearly mammograms being offered for free. And I encourage people to make use of that.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And your wisdom, your knowledge, and these, life-saving strategies and tips and insights, even if one person listening to this goes and has that breast screen or that mammogram, that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
As with all our guests, I have a little bit of quick trivia at the end. So, what is your favorite noise, Wendy? Favorite noise?
Noise. I think probably the sound of the ocean.
Yeah,
I grew up near the beach, had
beautiful.
a
Yeah,
very charmed childhood, I guess, being growing up playing in the waves and sitting on the
yeah.
ocean front. And I just love that noise of the waves crashing against the shore.
I'm very similar. It's just so it's a rhythm, isn't it? It's beautiful. What is your favorite word? It's not something you wake up and think about, but I love here. I'm a bit of a word nerd. I love unusual words and why people like words.
Uh, I'm not sure I have a favourite word, but one that comes to mind, and maybe it's because we just talked about the ocean, is cascade.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Um, I think of it as, yeah, it's like it's a word that feels the way it sounds.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does. I love that. And your last night on our beautiful planet, what would you eat? What would be your last supper, so to speak?
Well, what I had last night, which I love this meal, is uh, salmon. Sorry, tuna.
Tuna, yum.
Tuna, which has been just seared on the
Yeah.
barbecue very lightly, and with some potatoes and vegetables.
Oh, yum.
It's just the
Fresh tuna.
tuna is just such a lovely meal, which you don't have to do anything to. It's so simple, and it's just, yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
with a glass of
And
wine.
and a glass, yeah, yeah, you've got to have the glass of wine. If you were to, Wendy, you've done so much in your life so far, and you've still got lots of years ahead. But if you were to do something different, what career would that be? What would that look like?
Well, I've always been motivated by wanting to help people,
Yep,
and also I'm a person that gets bored easily.
easily.
So I need to have a job which constantly challenges me,
Yep,
where I feel like I'm, with purpose, putting good into the world.
yeah,
So, I would think something along the lines of business ideas that challenge me, like an entrepreneur, an
yep.
inventor, where there's sort of constant change and challenge and growth.
Creativity. I love that. I love that. And I think you'd be getting all that in what you're doing.
I do, yes.
And
I'm
that,
very lucky to have the job that I have, and
yeah,
find it so
not
fulfilling.
lucky, not lucky. You've worked hard to do that. Like people
I
say,
have.
"Man, you're so lucky you get to do so many different things," but I'm a lifelong learner, sacrificed a lot of other things. So I think the path you're on is from all the choices that you've made and the decisions you've made. So, yeah, well done. Thank you so much for being on the show. How can people find you and find out more about breast cancer and breast cancer density and the charity?
So go online and look at our website, informed.org.au. And you can find me very easily. If you type my name into Google, you'll find my university webpage, and you can find out how to contact me through there.
Amazing.
I'm always happy to have people contact me, and it's been such a rewarding and fulfilling part of my work is that people do reach out and tell me their stories, and that really helps me in my research, but also is very fulfilling when you hear stories about how people have benefited from knowing their breast density or going to get that extra check.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Wendy, for your insights and for being on the show.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Renee.
Pleasure. And those of you out there that have tuned in or watched this episode, please share with people that will benefit. This message needs to be just cast out there. I hope your new year's going well. And just a little update, we are now offering the Mental Health First Responders program that has an interactive app, so you can check in on how your team and your team culture is going and address what's happening. We're partnering with ShareTree, which is an amazing company. And Feb 18th, we've got the first of 3 info sessions that talk you through the program, how you can get funding for the program, and then what and how and when we implement that. So just jump on reneegiarrusso.com and go to events, and you will see that in there. Stay well. Thanks for listening. And as always, feel free to share any topics or any guests that you'd like us to have an amazing conversation with. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Limitless Leaders Podcast. So you don't miss an episode, make sure you follow the show in your favorite podcast app. Feel free to share this podcast with your family, friends, and work colleagues. If you're enjoying the show, find out more on what we do at RG Dynamics at www.reneegiarrusso.com. Until next time, be limitless.